I've been playing with a digital camera lately. As you can see, I've got quite a few videos or .mov files and pictures, JPEGs, and we can see the camera stamps file. This is the date, so 23/11/05. This is a timestamp in the center, and then it's just 000330, and it puts an F there for whatever reason, 331, 332, etc., down to 345. And you can see the JPEGs, similar type thing. And I've only taken 48 pictures, but I've taken 345 movies. So far I've right-clicked and gone rename, typed or pasted back in the basic name, whatever. Very time consuming. I knew Linux Mint had a file renamer, and I have looked at it before, but I've put it in a too hard basket. But now I've got it working. And what we're going to do is import these files and rename them. Now, what have we got there? A dozen or so, 16 movie files. That'd take me 5 or 8 minutes or something to do all those. But with the bulk renamer, I can do it rather quickly. Now, unfortunately, we can't drag them in, so we have to hit this little green plus sign here. And there they are. I'll click on the first one. I'll scroll down, hold Shift, click on the last of the movie files or videos, and then Add. On the left is the actual name, and on the right is going to be the new name, and you'll see this alters as we go through the settings down below. We're currently in replace mode, and if we have a look in here, there's remove, insert and change case. We'll get to those in a bit. And you can also do name only, extension only, or entire file name. I think that's fairly self-evident. Let's begin with replace. I want to replace everything to the left of the period, or the dot, with 01. In this case, it's called house stuff. So I want the first file here to be 01 house stuff, 02, etc. In the find space below, we're going to hold down Shift, press 8, which will give us the star key, also known as the wildcard, so it's found everything. And you can see it's generated a bit of a name collision, because they're now all going to be, if we hit rename, they're all going to have the same name, which is no name. Below here where it says replace, it's giving us some syntax, and we're going to use this one here, %0n. Now, I'm no expert, but the percent is a variable. The 0, I think, will be a 0, and the n is a number. So let's click in there, and we're going to type %0. Now, that's not the letter O, it's a 0. Then the letter n, and then I'm going to hit the space bar, and we'll type into there house stuff. We can see it's 01 all the way to 16, house stuff. If we hit rename, they will change, and you'll see them change over in the file manager as well. And that's it, we're done. Let's clear those out, and let's do the pictures as well. So I'll scroll down, there's the first JPEG. I'll click on that, hold down Shift, click on the last one and go Add. And because this stuff's already still in the find and replace boxes down below, I can just hit rename, and the same thing's happened there. And if we sort by type, name and type, well, we can see we've got 01 house stuff, JPG, and the same with our movies, 01 MOV, and so on. So that's pretty straightforward. That's replace. We can remove. Now we're getting an error because it's removing from position 1 to position 1. You can see it's taken that 0 out, that leading 0, and it's now we've got one house stuff and one house stuff again. But let's say I've made a typing error or whatever, I want to remove house or something like that. So we can go from position 3 or 4, let's just go to 3. Let's go to 4. There we go, from position 4 to position 3. Let's go to position 4. Now the H is gone. Position 5, 6, 7. You can see what's happening there. Okay. We can also do it from the other end, so from the right hand. So from the right hand side back. So if we go from the end, and so remove from position 4, and I think we'll have to go down to position 1 or something here. See what's happening there. So as we increase the from and the to position, you can see what it's doing there. So you can play around with that and get all sorts of effects that you want. We'll just put these back to 1 and 1 and deselect those. And once again, we've got the error because we're in the remove category, and that's previewing what it's going to be doing. Let's go down to insert. I've decided I actually want my house stuff, for example. So I'm going to type my and a space. Let's put it right at position 1. So let's just crank this up to position, I think it'll be 3 or 4. There we go. Position 4 is now my house stuff. That's nicer. So let's hit rename. And now all the JPEGs have got my house stuff, but the movies haven't. So we're going to have to drag them back in if we want to do that to them, which would be pretty simple. We'll just clear that out by hitting that white X. We'll hit the plus again. And we'll sort by type. There's our movies. Click on the first and the last one. Like that, and hold shift, hit add, and because we're still in here and our text and position is still there, it's instantly previewing it the same way as the JPEGs. So we'll just hit rename, and now they've all got my house stuff. Let's go to change case. By default it's on title case, so now it's capitalizing the first letter of each word. I like that, so we'll hit rename. And same thing, if we go back and get the JPEGs, we can do the same thing with them. Add. We're still in change case, so it's automatically done that. So we hit rename, and now they're all the same. I'm going to clear all that out, and what I'll do, I'm going to reload the original files back in here, so I'll be back in a moment. I've reloaded the original files, as you can see by the file names. I'm going to go a little bit deeper this time. What we're going to do, we'll go through and we'll just clear out all the text and changes that we made here before, so we're back to sort of default. That looks good. And replace, we'll just backspace all this stuff out as well. The file manager is currently showing the movies at the top and the JPEGs at the bottom. However, I know I took a couple of movies first, and then I took 4 or 5 pictures, and then I took some more movies. You've gone to an event or an occasion, you've taken some videos, then a couple of pictures, some more videos, some more pictures, and you want it all in some sort of chronological order. You can obviously just sort by date modified, and if we do that and come up to the top, now ignore the timings here. It wasn't really 9:30 at night. My computer changes the date for some reason. In fact, the middle set over here was actually 10, 22 and 54 seconds was when I took that movie. And then this one here, I took it 10:23 and 12, 10:23 and 37, etc. But if we drag everything in, so let's just click on the first and hold down shift and the last. Now we've got everything in there. We've got all the movies and all the JPEGs. And if we apply what we did before, it's going to start with the movies. You can even see here with the movie names 330, 331, etc. And the JPEGs 27, 28. It's going to number them as such, but that's not actually the order that I took them. As I say, you can just click on the date modified and sort them that way, but I actually like to see the chronological order. So file 1, it happens to be a movie, file 2 also, but file 3 was a JPEG. So if you want to view these later, the way that you walked into the event and took photos and whatever, this is what I've come up with as a solution. Now we have to do it in 2 steps, or in several steps in fact, because the file name lengths are slightly different, and you'll see as we get into it how that's going to affect things. So obviously if I did here what we did before, if we just go the star there, if we put into the replace my house stuff, it's just going to label all the movies first up to 16 and then all the JPEGs. But that's not the actual order that we took the videos and pictures. So what we'll do, clear all that out, and as I say, we'll have to do it in a couple of different steps. I'll just get rid of all this stuff down here. So let's start with the movies. So again, I'll click on the first and the last, and yep, we'll add them, because what I've noticed, if we look at this first one, the camera calls it file 23, so it's the year 23, it's the 11th month and the 5th day. This center section here, I can't make that any bigger there, but we probably can over here. We see over on the left hand side this first file was taken at 10, 22 and 54 seconds. And this second one was taken at 10:23 and 12 seconds, 10:23 and 37 seconds. So we can actually use that. We can use that to put them all in order, and the same with the JPEGs. Where are the JPEGs? Same with the JPEGs. So the camera's consistent within itself. You might have different issues if you're going to use 2 different cameras, but because this camera is running on the same time, whether I take a movie or a picture, the stamp is consistent with my camera. What we'll need to do is get rid of everything before this timestamp and everything after it, so that it's going to use this number as the file name, so it'll actually load in the correct order. You'll see as we get into it how this works. So we want to remove everything to the left of the 1. So from position 1 to position, it's probably about 10 or something. There we're down to the dash. The dash is gone, so to position 11. So let's rename that. And from the end, let's have a look here. So now coming from the period or the dot back to the last of these 6 digits, we want to go to, we'll have to just play with the settings here a little bit. So from position 1 to position 2, the F's going to go. Or position 3, is it? No, from position 1 to position 1. So let's increase this. And you can see what's happening. It's slowly moving across. It's a little confusing, but once you start playing with it, you can see I've achieved my objective there. So I'm going to rename them. And there we have it. They've all been renamed. We'll clear that out. And now we'll go and do the same thing with the JPEGs. So once again, we'll scroll down to the first JPEG, click on it, hold down Shift, and click on the last one and add them. And because we're still in remove and we haven't changed the settings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it looks good. We've got 6 digits left there, so that's what it looked like before. And now as we move across, so let's rename them there. We're sort of just doing this one backwards because we're still in remove. And we're going to deselect from and to again. So this time we're working from IMG across to the 102. So now we're working from left to right. Because my camera uses a slightly different length in this prefix of the file name, I have to do them in 2 batches here, but as you can see, it's relatively quick still. So we're going to go from position 1, so you can see the eye's gone already, and to position, and notice I've deselected from the end, so we're going from the start. So it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, it's going to be 11 or 12 or something like that. So we come across 9, it's 10. Now once again, all we have is a 6-digit, so it was 10, 23 and 37 seconds, 10, 23 and 54 seconds, 10, 24, 10, 27, etc. So let's rename them. And we'll clear them out of there. So now the file names, because we're dealing with name only. Okay, we're dealing with name only. Now I can import everything. I'll click on the first file and the last file. We'll go add. And we're still in remove and it's still on those settings. So let's just put that back to 1 and 1. It's missing the leading 1, which doesn't really matter for our purposes because it's 1, 0 in all cases. But it's only showing like that as a preview again because we're in remove. But we're going to go to replace. Now, as I mentioned before, you can only sort by name. So it's up or down, one or the other. But we want to start at the lowest and work to the highest. So this is 10, 22 and 54, 10, 23 and 12. So there's the 2 movies I took first. And then I took 1, 2, 3, 4 JPEGs. I can actually show you that. This is the date modified. These are the same files. And they're sorted by date modified. And as you can see, I took 2 movies, then some JPEGs, then about 4 or 5 movies and so on. And we'll compare this again in a little while and you'll see what happens. So now they're in the correct order. Movie, JPEGs, then some movies and so on. Now we can actually go. We can use our star to remove all of that. And in replace, we can do the same again. Now we've got 1, 2, so movie, and then number 3 is a JPEG, number 4, 5, 6, number 7's back to movies again. So let's hit rename. And now if I sort by name, we can see we've got movie, JPEG. And if we get rid of this, so this file window on the right is sorted, as you can see there, the down arrow, it's sorted by time. Now ignore the time out here, because as I say, my computer changes that. But we can see the first number one on the left is 20.6 megabytes, and this is 20.6 megabytes, 18.9, 18.9, 4.4. So then we're into the JPEGs. So now we've actually renamed them, regardless of whether it's a movie or a JPEG. So when I open this folder in the future and I want to peruse, look at that movie that I took first and then the pictures that I took in the correct order, I don't have to jump backwards and forwards. It's all nice and neat there. I can see them all in order. So that's my solution. I know it's a little bit long-winded to get around, but it might matter to some people. I don't think have we been to change case yet? Let's go to change case. So it's now capitalising the first letter of each word, or title case. So now we've got my house stuff in upper and lower case, and you can see on the left-hand side that's all lower. So let's just rename them, make it look a bit prettier. There we go, we're done. You can also obviously have uppercase, lowercase, and first character uppercase, which in our case, because we've got numbers rather than letters, if we went back to insert and we just put a G and a space, you can see what we get there. We get G, my house stuff. So let's just rename that. And now we go to first uppercase, you can see it's gone to a capital G. And we can hit title case as well, and we can rename them. And we'll just go back. And we'll remove that G. Once again, we're already on position 1 to position 1, so it's showing the G missing. We hit rename, the G's gone. We've got our title case, 1, 2, 3, regardless of whether it's a movie or a JPEG, they're all in their correct order. Hope that makes sense, hope it helped you out. I know since I've been messing with the camera, you've got 300 times that I've had to right click and go to rename. It gets pretty tedious and whatever. So yeah, I've spent a little bit of time getting to learn the file renamer. I couldn't find much online. Most of the stuff to do with Linux, as you're probably aware, is all terminal stuff. I'm not much of a terminal sort of a person, particularly when you've got a GUI application such as this. Makes things a lot easier. And yeah, it took me a little bit of head scratching to figure out how am I going to get them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, regardless whether it's a movie or a JPEG. But then I discovered that timestamp, and as much as the default file naming is sort of gobbledygook, as you can see there, that was actually the saviour that did it for me, because that's consistent between the movies and the JPEGs, whereas this end number here was not. I think that's about it for the video. I think we've sort of been through most of the stuff we want to look at, remove. I think we touched on all of those. We did. Hope you enjoyed that, got something out of it. And I'll see you on the next one, I guess.